Welcome to the channel, everyone. My name is Nick. For those that are new to the channel, hopefully by the end of this video, you do become a subscriber. So even though the markets have been getting hit hard over the last couple months, the number one thing that I continue to stay focused on, and I even did this in the bear market as well, leading up to, of course, 2023, 2024, etc. The number one thing is focusing on projects that continue to grow, continue to expand, and continue to build even throughout all of the noise. All right. The thing that I'm focused on here is looking at the future, mainly planting seeds in this space that will ultimately grow and expand rapidly once things bounce back. Now, a lot of those projects actually have a lot in common because majority of them are utility based. They're focused on, the big institutional players, and they're also focused on some of the biggest narratives out there like tokenization. Now, with tokenization, I could obviously say, oh yeah, tokenization is going to bring trillions and trillions of dollars on chain, and it's great for that, and it's going to make us all rich, blah, 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 right? You've heard it many times over, right? But the big thing that you haven't heard is that when we think about tokenization itself, okay, yeah, it will bring trillions of dollars on chain, but it's also opening up doors of completely new asset classes and markets as well living on chain. And this is actually becoming a big reality. Now, on top of that, I stay focused on projects like Ondo because we do have here an update from Ondo. Now, this is their weekly breakdown of what's happening around tokenization. We can actually still see that institutions are embracing tokenization in a huge way, even though the markets are going through a storm. This week's tokenization theme, accelerating global institutional adoption from India's Axis Bank to Japan's SMBC, major financial institutions around the world are embracing tokenization. JP Morgan's Kinexys digital payments to enable 24/7 cross-border USD payments from India's Axis Bank. Axis Bank, one of the largest private sector banks in India, has become the first Indian headquartered financial institution to launch near real-time 24/7 programmable USD clearing capabilities for its commercial banks. Or commercial clients, leveraging Kinexys digital payments by JP Morgan. We're excited to work with Kinexys by JP Morgan to deliver a first in the market 24/7 programmable USD clearing capability for our institutional and commercial banking clients for their cross-border payments out of Gift City. So this is great to see. Our work with the Axis Bank marks the next step in creating a growing industry-wide blockchain-based financial ecosystem with interoperability among central banks or central bank digital currencies, stablecoins, and other digital currency solutions. On top of that, we also have from SMFG, which is Sumitomo Mitsui Financial Group. Hope that I'm saying the name correctly, probably not, but Japan's #2 banking group to explore stablecoin use cases for commercial purposes. The group has signed a memorandum of understanding with Ava Labs, Fireblocks, and TIS to initiate joint discussions on the potential utilization of stablecoins for future commercialization. Brazil's largest bank, Itaú, considers launching its own stablecoin with 98.5 million customers. It's reportedly exploring the launch of its own stablecoin, according to Valor Econômico, Brazil's largest financial newspaper outlet. Stablecoins have always been on Itaú's radar. We cannot ignore the power that blockchain has to settle transactions atomically, which, by the way, is a huge deal when it comes to even Ripple with XRP. That was actually a huge spotlight around the Bank of England's POC with them. Now, we also have Calistone launches Calistone tokenized distribution to enable tokenization for asset managers. This is the largest global funds network, which has now announced the launch of Calistone tokenized distribution, a solution that allows asset managers to tokenize any fund operating on a Calistone's network and distribute it across blockchain-based channels. So again, institutional adoption is still here around tokenization, which is why I think that we should be focused on the players behind this and the ones that are actually tapped in a big way. Now, on top of this announcement from Ondo, we did get an announcement on April 1st, which was from MasterCard. So we have bullish. MasterCard is building a blockchain-powered payment network targeting banks and consumers for seamless fiat to crypto transactions. Now, we know that MasterCard is not new to the game. In fact, MasterCard has been around this space for a while. I think that it really started back in 2021, and since then, it just accelerated. Now, we do know that Anthony Welfare, who was a previous Ripple employee back in 2023, did say that he is excited to be working with MasterCard on digital currency and CBDC projects, Ripple's launch of an inaugural government-issued national stablecoin in collaboration with the Republic of Palau, in addition to work on 4 CBDC pilots. And this is actually with MasterCard, and this was around CBDC discussions. Obviously, this is back in 2023, but also stablecoins are a big focus around this as well, which again, you can clearly see MasterCard working with some of the biggest players in this space. But on top of that, we also saw back in February of this year that Ondo has joined MasterCard's network that connects financial institutions and businesses, with businesses to improve cross-border payments. If we actually look at this, we have Ondo Finance to bring RWAs to MasterCard's network. This is through their MTN network, essentially. And this incorporates API-enabled blockchain tools to allow banks to streamline domestic and cross-border transactions. And we have tokenized RWA issuer Ondo Finance has joined MasterCard's multi-token network. Ondo short-term U.S. government treasuries fund investment product will be available to businesses on the MasterCard network. So this is great to see. And again, like I said, MasterCard is not new to the game. They have been around this space for a bit of time. Now, this is actually with OUSG, and those are the assets that are invested in BlackRock's USD Institutional Digital Liquidity Fund, which is the largest blockchain-based money market fund. And yeah, I think that this is going to be very interesting to see, because we also know that Ondo did bring OUSG to the XRP ledger with Ripple as well. And you know what's crazy about this? Think about all of the connections here. All right, Ripple is working with MasterCard. Ondo is working with MasterCard. Ondo also, with the same exact asset, the OUSG assets, also brought that to the XRP ledger back in January. Stellar joins MasterCard's crypto credential ecosystem to unlock verifiable or verified interactions across public blockchain networks. This was back in October. And then also we saw back in February that Ondo's USDY was coming to the Stellar network as well. So we could see this ecosystem becoming a big deal around Ondo, with big players like MasterCard being tapped in, which also has exposure to Stellar, and also even Ripple with the XRP ledger. It's just kind of funny how all of this, really kind of works out. Now, if we go back to the Ondo announcement with Ripple, we did put a spotlight on this when it did happen. Now, I also want to put a spotlight on this post here from Tokenizer, because it really does break down on how big this partnership actually is. And it also goes for even Stellar as well, because it's kind of in the same exact category. We have here, there's more to the recent Ripple, XRP, and Ondo partnership than most think. The one player that ties them together is none other than Securitize. Ripple was a lead securitized investor back in 2018. Ondo uses securitized tokenization framework. Securitize has established itself as a leader in the tokenization space. The names they're connecting and working with in Web3 are clearly on the right side of DLT. Ripple, Ondo, XDC, Aptos, Algorand, even Avalanche as well. These are all DLT networks that are seeing real-world progress and developments, especially around the topics of institutional tokenization. And the legacy entities echoed that message further. BlackRock, Hamilton Lane, Apollo. The world of finance is officially ready to step into asset tokenization. The partnership goes beyond Ondo's RWAs via OUSG, coming onto the XRP ledger. It brings Ondo a world-class DLT network geared for financial innovation with connections to giants. And on Ripple's end, it brings the leading public DLT tokenization protocol to the XRP ledger. And the same goes for Stellar and even XLM because of the partnership with Ondo. But what's even crazier about all of this is how it's all going to be connected and what the real message behind all of this is, which is Wall Street 2.0. Right? I've talked about it over time when it comes to Ondo, because Ondo is continuing to push that narrative. But seeing these big players like MasterCard now working with Ondo, and you also see a lot of the partnerships that Ondo already has under its belt, I mean, you can clearly see that it's not just like a small-time blockchain-based company anymore. It already has a lot of those institutional players around the stock market tapped in a big way, and I wouldn't be surprised to see more announcements from Ondo this year with some major partnerships with some bigger names, because again, Ondo is becoming a real big giant, especially with the names that it's tying to its belt. But it goes back to even that post from back in March, because again, we're kind of on the same topic here around how big this XRP and Ondo partnership actually is. The vision is Wall Street 2.0, right? It's basically the Web3 idea of, Web 2's Wall Street. It isn't about, doing away with legacy systems altogether. It's about driving innovation while integrating with foundations refined over centuries. Ondo and Ripple share a vision, meeting users where they are and making on-chain finance interoperable with legacy systems where trillions of dollars reside. Now, again, It's not just about Ripple and Ondo, right? It's about all of these big players. Like if we go back to Tokenizer's post here, like, yeah, we already see a lot of those big players through like Securitize. I mean, even if you think about like Fireblocks, right? Fireblocks is a huge player around this space. Massive connections back to like Stellar, for example, even Ripple as well. These are huge names that are bringing institutions on chain, not one by one, but in waves. And Ondo is another player just like that. But check this out.
We're trying to build Wall Street 2.0, a new system built on more modern technologies with more modern capabilities. We're going to have to chip away at the obstacles that are preventing the type of interoperability, 24/7 access that we'd like to see. Companies like Ripple have been working on building interoperability with existing legacy systems so that we can meet our customers where they are and we can, start to transform the financial system into something that works better. We're trying to
Now, that is a huge statement. And you know what's crazy about this? We go all the way back to February of 2024. We're talking about a whole year ago, right? This is from Monica Long, the president of Ripple. We keep saying it. The future is multi-chain. Hugely excited for XLR network to integrate with the XRP ledger. Number one, bringing more cross-chain dapps to the XRP ledger. Number two, providing liquidity for stablecoins. Number three, stablecoins and other assets. Number three is expand the XRP ledger's features to 50 plus other blockchains. Now, what's crazy about Axler is they have an Ondo partnership. Back in November of 2023, Ondo Finance and Axler integrate for cross-chain tokenized secure notes. This was one of the big initiatives around RWAs before it was a huge, talking point. But we have taken native stablecoins and RWAs cross-chain with a solution inspired by Circle's CCTP. So wait a second. We already have OUSG on the XRP ledger through the Ripple partnership, but also Axler, it can easily connect, Ondo and the XRP ledger together, which now anyone or any institution, on Ondo could also tap in through this overall interoperable solution. And this is all around tokenization. So when we really think about what's going on here, okay, everything within the tokenization space for institutional players and for the future of, tokenized markets, all of it's being bridged through specific names like Axler, right? I look at Axler, I look at other, interoperability giants in the space as well, like Chainlink, for an example. We think about Quant as well. Like, all of these connections are so crucial to focus on. And all of the names that are working together, like I just made a video yesterday, actually, talking about XDC and HBAR and how they have that connection with Archix. Archix also has Hedera tied to it, Ripple, and you name it. Those are the names that I'm focused on because those ecosystems that are starting to form that are even, at this point, pretty small, right? It's nothing crazy just yet. They will soon blossom into massive, massive ecosystems, network effects like no other. And it's all because of the names that are tied to these ecosystems that will bring those big institutional players with trillions of dollars on chain. That's why even when we go back to that video over here, they're talking about interoperability between, users and even making on-chain finance interoperable with legacy systems. This is where massive amounts of users and massive amounts of money reside. So when we think about that, we obviously want a lot of that to, transition over and be bridged. And that's done through names like Ondo with Axler. And again, yes, you see those other networks being tapped in, like the XRP ledger. I believe Axler also has connections back to Hedera. I might be wrong on that. But I do know that they have been expanding rapidly and their ecosystem is just insane. You could actually look at their ecosystem over here. You can see all of the names scrolling by. I mean, they have some very, very big chains already. If you actually look at the selected chains here, you could see all of the chains that they already have under their belt. It's a very significant ecosystem, very significant player around the space as well. And I think that it's only going to continue to grow and grow and grow. And by the way, you could also look into, like the enterprise side with like JP Morgan, Microsoft, MasterCard, which again, you have another connection back to MasterCard through Axler with Ondo and of course the XRP ledger. So you can clearly see that multi-chain future becoming a reality where, trillions and trillions of dollars will be traded, 24/7, 365, you name it. This basically is Wall Street 2.0, but it's much bigger than just Wall Street 2.0 and tokenization itself. This is where we start to see the future financial system, you know, become a reality on chain. And I'm very excited about this. And I'm very excited to see these connections back to like Ondo with XRP and XLM, et cetera, because we know that we're looking in the right spot. We know that, you know, we're doing things the right way. All we have to do is wait. That's it. We have to weather the storm when the storm hits, and we make it out. We make it out fine. We might, you know, have a few scratches or so, but at the end of the day, we make it through it. And we know what awaits us in the future because everything is starting to move on chain. The big players are telling us the plans. We just have to be patient. That's it. So with that being said, I hope that you guys enjoyed this video. If you guys did, definitely leave a like, subscribe, turn notifications on because of more free content. You guys are more than welcome to follow me on Twitter and join the free Discord in the description below. And with that being said, guys, it's been Nick. Thanks for watching. Peace out.